Coming up on SUTV News, we'll take a look at one of BYU's youngest graduates.
And later, we'll talk about the motorcycle accident in St. George.
Are we supposed to be? Welcome to SUTV News. I'm Grace Conley.
And I'm Jeff Mullins.
The Registered Nurses Association ranked Southern Utah University as the best public nursing school in the state. The report ranks colleges all across the nation based upon the resources and support faculty provides to their students and how their students perform on exams. According to the SUU nursing program, 95% of their students pass the registered nursing exam on the first try. The ranking also highlighted SUU's ability to communicate with their students and praised the high level of critical thinking and problem solving demonstrated by its graduates.
A fire north of San Francisco exploded in size recently. The fire has grown to cover 15 square miles of California's Sonoma County and has led to authorities calling for evacuations in the nearby community of Geyserville. While there has been no official release for the cause of the fire, authorities state that a mix of low humidity and gusty winds in the region may be a natural risk. Alongside this, the Pacific Gas and Electric Company began rolling out power outages the day before in hopes of minimizing the risk for wildfire caused by electrical equipment. This is the latest blackout by the company and has impacted 500,000 people across 15 counties. The company warns that blackouts could happen again and would affect even more customers. In recent years, electrical equipment has been blamed for several fires causing severe damage, which PG&E CEO is hoping to avoid.
We understand the hardship created by these shutoffs, and there are safety risks on both sides, but again, we've seen the impact of wildfires both over the years and recently in Southern California, and we're determined not to let that happen.
Home on Monday, October 27th, Cedar City and Hurricane fire departments finally returned home after traveling across state lines to California to help contain the disastrous wildfire known as the Kincaid Fire. The Kincaid Fire was located in Sonoma County and lasted around 2 weeks, burning nearly 78,000 acres of land and 400 buildings, of which 174 of those were residential. The fire is now officially contained, and California residents are starting to clean up and get their lives back in order.
Wow, that's amazing that the Cedar City and Hurricane firefighters were able to go out and help fight that fire because, 2 weeks long that fire was out of control. And
it's kind of crazy. I was in LA this last weekend and you could see a little bit of the smoke residue, and it was just crazy.
Coming up, we'll talk about the U.S. pulling out of the climate change deal.
Don't go anywhere.
On average, I spend 8 hours a week on the road. It's important to me to make the right choices when I drive. And she's the reason why I support MAD.
Hi, I'm Special Agent Diana Berrigan from the TV show White Collar. Did you know that it wasn't until 1972 that the first female earned an FBI Special Agent badge? Now women are helping solve crimes around the world in faraway places like Sarajevo, New Delhi, Lagos, and Tbilisi. To all our women fighting crime at home and overseas, thank you for keeping us safe. Happy anniversary.
17-year-old boy was struck and killed by a train on November 2nd in Oregon while taking his senior pictures. The student, identified as River Baker, was killed upon impact by a Union Pacific freight train. A spokesperson for Union Pacific said, "Our thoughts are with the teen's family. We plead with parents, students, and photographers to not take photos on or near the tracks. Candles and flowers have been placed on the bridge in memory of the boy, who will be remembered as a sweet soul and someone who could always make his loved ones laugh."
The United States has told the United Nations it will be pulling out of the 2015 Paris Climate Agreement. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said that he submitted the formal notice on Monday, the first possible day for countries to back out of the deal. Instead of adhering to the deal, Pompeo said the U.S. will move forward with its own efforts led by the open market to combat climate change. President Donald Trump has been promising withdrawal from the agreement for 2 years, despite many critics condemning the choice. Michael Broom, the executive director of the Sierra Club, called the decision a historic error.
A teenage motorcyclist is still in a coma after being hit by a car in St. George last Thursday. The accident is surrounded by controversy, with some witnesses claiming that the car completely ran over both the motorcycle and the teenager, and other witnesses claiming that the motorcyclist drove into the side of the car and was not run over. Although the teenager was wearing a helmet, which successfully protected him from head injuries, he still sustained severe injuries to his legs and arms. A GoFundMe account has been set up for the teenager in an event to provide him with as much support as possible following the crash.
A Utah family is mourning the loss of relatives that live in northern Mexico who were shot and killed on Monday evening. Reports say 3 women were driving separate cars with several children in each when a cartel ambushed and shot at the vehicles. One of the cars caught on fire, burning 1 woman and 4 of her children inside. The ages of the burned children are 10, 8, and 2 6-month-old twins. As of currently, the exact number of deaths between the 3 vehicles is unknown, as some may have been able to escape and are hiding. The relatives of the family in Utah are anxiously waiting for more news to come.
Wow, so a lot of injuries
Yeah,
these last few weeks, which
course.
is really sad.
Okay.
So, unfortunately. How's the weather looking today, Ryan?
It's getting cooler, but we're staying in a comfortable range. Don't go anywhere.
Don't let E. coli mosh with your food. An estimated 3,000 Americans die from a foodborne illness each year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So always separate raw meat from vegetables. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
Listen up. Each year, hundreds of promising research studies go unfunded for breast cancer, for lung cancer, every cancer. The American Cancer Society has been behind nearly every breakthrough in recent history. But there's still more work to do. So let's make sure that no research is silenced. Let's make noise. Let's make noise. Yeah. And let's finish the fight.
Okay, so we drowned the fire.
Yep.
Stirred it. Drowned it again. And now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. I already posted it.
I'm hungry. I can't see the board.
Good morning, class. Everyone ready to learn today?
Of course they aren't ready. Across America, health barriers keep millions of disadvantaged school children from learning. Children's Health Fund is working to remove those barriers. But to really change the odds for these kids, we need your help. To find out how you can give every child a chance to be healthy and ready to learn, visit childrenshealthfund.org today.
Welcome back to SUTV News. I'm Ryan Sunderman. So it's been pretty cold these past couple weeks, but we're finally starting to get a little warmer before the winter inevitably does come. So as you can see here for the 7-day forecast, it's going to be in the high 60s, mid to high 60s throughout the entire week, and it's going to drop down to the low 30s, mid to low 30s each night. So you might want to break out another comforter to just stay warm throughout the night and wake up with a nice mug of coffee or hot chocolate to get your day started. So it's going to be sunny just about all week, with the exception of a few clouds in the sky on Wednesday, and you can see that here. But along with the week coming up, though it's going to be pretty calm as far as wind goes, so we're only looking at 10 miles an hour at the highest and only averaging about 5-6 miles an hour throughout the week. So unfortunately, it's not going to be a good week to fly a kite, much less a good day. So unless you got really strong lungs and really powerful legs. But along with the moon coming up, you can see that right down here. This week, on Veterans Day weekend, is going to be the full moon. So that'll be a really good night to go out there, just stargaze, take a look at the full moon, and celebrate with some group of friends. May have a bonfire, and to celebrate the warm weather right now before the winter comes, because we're going to have a really bad winter this year. If you look up north, you can see they've already gotten some snow. Logan, Provo, they've already gotten hit pretty hard, and the wind and snow is just going to keep coming. And when it does come down here, it is going to hit hard. So just keep an eye on the weather coming up the next week or so, and just recognize that do whatever you can to stay warm as it transitions from the mid-60s into about the mid to low 50s.
Yeah. It's a shame, honestly, that we have a bye this week for the football game.
It honestly is. It's going to be absolutely beautiful weather on Saturday.
Yeah. Fortunately, not enough to fly a kite, but I mean...
Unfortunately.
Between you and me, I don't know how to fly a kite, so...
Are you going to do anything fun on Saturday to celebrate the warm weather?
I might. Last weekend, I did a bonfire with some of my friends. We just went up to 3 Peaks. With some of my roommates, they invited people who invited people. We went from 6 to 35 in a span of 20 minutes.
Wow.
Nice.
So... Why do something like that again? Still got a lot of firewood, and it's easy to find.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super fun.
What about you? Are you guys going to do anything fun for the week?
For the nice warm weather this upcoming weekend, it is my birthday, so I'm gonna go take a trip out to Vegas and just go see what they have there and just have some fun.
Nice. Happy early birthday.
Yeah, should be fun.
Yeah. Thanks for the weather update, Ryan.
Here's a quick look at what's coming up next in sports.
Coming up on SUTV Sports, we've got a recap of the Montana State football game and a preview for the basketball team. Stay tuned.
At what age is the color that your skin was meant to be no longer beautiful? Every year, millions of young women try to change the skin they were born with and say they die for darker skin. Sadly, some actually do. Melanoma is the second most common cancer in teens and young adults, and 1 person dies from melanoma every hour. Change your thinking, not your skin. Stop tanning. Learn more at spotskincancer.org. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
Did you check? Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Think you found every hazard out here today? Think again. The spot you missed could be a killer. That spot on your skin could be skin cancer. If you're a man over 50, you're in a group most likely to develop skin cancer, including melanoma, the kind that kills 1 person every hour. That's why your best shot is to check for a spot. It's easy. Follow through and check your skin. Go to spotskincancer.org to find out how. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
Looking for these? You drive buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back to SUTV Sports. I'm Connor Sanders. The Thunderbird football team was in Bozeman, Montana over the weekend, riding their momentum from a blowout win the week before. The game kicked off in a wet and cold showdown against the number 14th ranked Bobcats of Montana State. While SUU won the time of possession by nearly 5 minutes, they were unable to put any kinds of points on the board. The Bobcats jumped out to an early lead when running back Lane Sumner powered his way into the end zone from 2-yard line. Only 3 minutes into the game, and then on the next possession, Sumner danced his way to another score, this time from 25 yards out. With 5 minutes left in the first quarter, Bobcats quarterback Tucker Rovig found Jaden Smith for a 47-yard touchdown pass. And then the second quarter was not much better. The Thunderbirds allowed the Bobcats to find the end zone 3 more times. 1 more touchdown on the ground and 2 more through the air helped Montana State take a dominant 42-0 lead into halftime. Both defenses were staunch in the third quarter, not allowing points for either team. Late in the fourth, with the game out of reach, SUU put in the reserves, and sophomore QB Justin Miller hit John Mitchell from 17 yards out for the lone score of the game for the Thunderbirds. The loss drops the football team to 2-8 on the season, and they are still looking for their first road win of this year. The Thunderbirds will have this Saturday off with the bye, and will be back home to host Northern Arizona University on the 16th for their final home game of the season. SUU men's basketball begins their 2019-20 campaign against Bethesda College tonight at 7 in the America First Event Center. Head coach Todd Simon is entering his 4th season at SUU, and the team is the most talented he's assembled thus far. Led by Big Sky newcomer of the year Cameron Aluyatin, the T-Birds have an eye on the NCAA tournament, a feat they have not accomplished since 2001. The T-Birds returned 4 of last season's 5 starters and will add former 5-star prospect Dwayne Morgan as well as Utah State University transfer John Knight III into the mix. Simon has an embarrassment of riches that he'll need to sort through, and a preseason contest against the Flames presents a perfect opportunity to play with his rotation. Bethesda plays in the National Christian College Athletic Association in Division II, and the Flames are 0-4 on the season coming into tonight's contest. Tonight's game marks the debut of Knight, as well as Iowa State transfer Jacoby Long, Illinois State transfer David Ndiaye, and freshman Jared Hoppo, Damani McIntyre, and Chase Verdugo. The T-Birds are heavy favorites against the Flames, but tonight will be fans' first look at one of the most highly touted groups in school history. Tip-off will be at 7 p.m., and the game will be broadcast on Pluto TV. The women's team kicked off their season with an exhibition game against Ottawa University at Arizona on Friday. The Lady T-Birds dominated from the second quarter on as senior guard Rebecca Cardenas scored 20 points and dished out 4 assists in the 104-59 win. Senior forward Harley Hansen scored 14 points of her own, as well as recording 5 assists, 4 steals, and a perfect 6 of 6 from the free throw line. Although the Lady T-Birds got off to a slow start in the first quarter, they only allowed 20 points in the second half, including just 5 in the fourth quarter. The win will not count towards the final record of the team, but it is a nice warm-up for their first official game this Thursday when they take on Cal State Fullerton in the America First Event Center at 6:30 p.m. Fans had a surprise while watching Monday night between the Dallas Cowboys and New York Giants when a black cat made its way onto the field. The game was halted as thousands in the stadium and millions at home watched the cat make its way up and down the field. The sportscasters joked about the cat being possible bad luck on one of the teams. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones stated that he was fearful the cat was a bad omen for his team as they were trailing 9-3. The cat was luckily on the opposite side of the field of the action, but did cause a 2-minute delay after it was recognized by officials. The cat eventually made its way off the field and ran into the tunnel. Officials from MetLife Stadium say the cat disappeared under the seating section and has yet to be found. They stated once the cat is located and safely captured, it will be taken in for a veterinarian examination. That's all I have for you. Back to you guys at the desk.
Wow, thank you, Connor. Now, it's a shame to hear about our T-Birds sports, but that black cat story, I mean,
it's pretty crazy.
That's pretty crazy.
I bet for those who are super superstitious, it was definitely a little scary.
Oh yeah, definitely bad luck for one of those teams, but hopefully everything works out with that.
Yeah, hopefully.
But thanks for the update, Connor. Up next, our reporter Connor Sanders took a trip out to Frisco, Utah.
Don't go anywhere.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
A Minnesota student is getting the deal of his dreams after having his side business noticed by Krispy Kreme donuts. 21-year-old Jason Gonzalez has been making a 540-mile-long drive to Iowa, the nearest Krispy Kreme location, to stock up on his supplies of donuts. The budding entrepreneur would then make the drive back to his Minnesota campus to sell each box for upwards of $17 to $20. Krispy Kreme originally made a statement during Gonzalez's 20th run asking him to stop, but relented by sending him 500 boxes of donuts to help him continue his endeavors.
The new Disney and Apple TV streaming services have begun a battle with Netflix. Time magazine recently released the shows that will be taken off of Netflix's platform due to this streaming war. Shows such as Dog's Life, Lord of the Rings, The Sixth Sense, Mamma Mia, Boyhood, Coco, and Life Unexpected will be gone before the start of the new year. But on the brighter side, Zombieland, new season of Queer Eye, Mars Season 2, The Matrix, Step Brothers, Grease, The Devil, Next Door, and more will be available before the end of December. Netflix fans are disappointed to see so many shows go, but there will be fresh, binge-worthy series coming at us soon. Stay tuned.
One of the youngest graduates in BYU history, Spencer Jackman, will be walking and receiving his bachelor's degree in communication studies. He's only 17 years old. The Jackman credits most of his success, which included graduating from high school a year earlier than planned to his high school's concurrent enrollment program. Jackman says there are sacrifices that must be made, but it will, end quote, it will average about $15 a class as opposed to like $600 or $900 for it, and so it's definitely worth the sacrifice. Spencer is not the only one in his family either. His two siblings also earned their associates during their high school career.
Our sports producer, Connor Sanders, had the opportunity to head out to Frisco, Utah in search for ghosts.
I love to melt a piece of cheddar cheese right over that puppy. Yo.
Frisco, Utah is a ghost town about an hour northwest of Cedar City, 15 miles out past Milford. It was a spooky town with a spooky ending. Back in the late 19th century, around 10 people were dying per night in Frisco. It was a town booming from silver found in the nearby San Francisco mountains. No one knew why the people were dying. Perhaps it was a murderer, a plague, or just the working conditions of the silver mines, but The town became known for having the largest cemetery in the state, despite never having a population higher than 6,000. The University Journal's Life editor, Amanda Walton, invited the rest of the media site's editors to investigate Frisco for an article in the upcoming edition of the magazine. We downloaded a few ghost hunting and infrared detection apps on our phones and piled into our editor-in-chief Cassidy Harmon's van. The group of about 12 of us pulled off the freeway and drove our cars as far as we could before a fork in the road. All we really knew about Frisco was that there was a cemetery, a mine, and that the mine had toxic gases or something. The first thing we noticed about Frisco was how blisteringly cold it was. I had 3 jackets, a beanie, and gloves on, and I was still pretty cold. We came across a few rundown buildings and creaky aluminum roofs. My spirit box said capital, so maybe the mine was of economic value to the town. We tried the other spirit detecting apps, but nothing really happened from them. I'll go ahead and just nip this in the bud now. The only thing that really detected anything worthwhile was the spirit box on my phone, so I'll only mention it from here on out. Suffice it to say that the rest of the spirit hunting apps were pretty trash. After the mine, we veered west toward a little cabin. It was fairly spooky in there. The sagebrush kind of scraped up against the roof forebodingly, and I'd say that's as scary as the trip really got. Amanda got pretty freaked out in that shed because the spirit box on my phone flashed up and said, "Afraid of you," while she was in there. People claimed to hear some noises, but nothing happened. We headed back toward the cemetery, and, well, it certainly was a cemetery. Some headstones were big, some were small, some had boots next to them, and a lot had fake flowers next to them for some reason. Some had fences around them, and some were grouped into families. Some of the graves were just covered in cement. We walked around and looked at the headstones. The spirit box on my phone spat out Gianna, which may have been the ghost introducing itself. Then came the second spookiest part of the trip. Right near the entrance there's an unmarked cross and a mound of dirt. We deduced that it was from a shallow burial, and the thought of why they couldn't dig any deeper into the soil for that body was unsettling. Just under that thin layer of dirt sat the remains of a once living person. Ugh. Okay, yeah, that was definitely the spookiest part. Then we took a few group photos out near the entrance and got back into our cars to escape the cold. It was so dang cold. We were hankering for something warm, and we had noticed a 24-hour diner in Milford on our way in. We agreed to meet there for some hot chocolate and arrived at Penny's Diner. The diner was definitely the best part of the trip. It just oozed middle America and small-town pride. Both of the waitresses were incredibly charming and told us spooky stories they'd heard of Frisco. We ordered hot chocolate with whipped cream and a few slices of pumpkin pie. We marveled at the vintage diner and the charm of rural America. We all slept through our classes the next morning, but it was a fun time that I'm sure we'd all happily do again. We looked up the names in the cemetery to see if someone named Gianna was buried there, but nothing came of it. Maybe it was that unmarked grave. For SUTV, Connor Sanders.
Ooh, spooky! Spooky!
Wow, looks like a lot of fun, but unfortunately no ghosts seen?
Yeah, I didn't really feel too spooked. Some among the group did. They kind of let themselves feel spooked, but overall I was not
Didn't sound like Amanda let herself feel spooked.
I mean,
I wasn't there, so I don't know.
I mean, it did say afraid of you.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Do you
scary.
think those apps worked, or
No.
Yeah.
No endorsements
They're just
here.
kind of.
Oh.
Yeah, they just like would spit out random words, and then you could pay to upgrade your dictionary to
That's
get more
not
better
worth
words.
it.
Yeah, you could pay to upgrade to get ad-free versions. Yeah, they were definitely just scams at money.
Just
like they
tell
all
you
are.
personal details about your life to scare you more, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that they're just like listening for words that you guys are saying and trying to guess something that.
Hey, here's a question. It's just going to say yes or
Yeah, exactly.
something to scare you.
But
Do you think the shed was the scariest part for you?
I mean,
or-
for me it wasn't. It was just a shed.
Yeah.
The unmarked grave right at the entrance was pretty creepy though, because you could literally see like the mound of person in there, so it's pretty spooky.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. That's all we have for you. I'm Grace Conley.
I'm Connor Sanders.
I'm Ryan Sunderman.
And I'm Jeff Mullins. Tune in Thursday for more news here on SUTV.